Welcome everyone to another Wednesday night, the fundamentals to gain inner peace with your host, Coach Menachem Bernfeld. Soothing your inner child, techniques for managing anger and fear. Many times the reason why it's hard to do inner work is because heavy emotions come up. And we discussed last week to be patient and persistent. Patient meaning it's not going to work overnight, and it might take time. For some people, they connect again. It's like, oh, I was looking for you for so many years. Finally, you're here. Let's talk. For others, it's quiet. They want to talk to their inner child. They want to see what's going on. And there's no feedback. Hard for them to connect. What am I looking for? What does it look like? I don't hear anything. Even though it is your thoughts, but you want to go down to that 7-year-old, 8-year-old. Not always is it easy to connect, but as an adult, because we're the adult now, we're patient and we're persistent. The message we're giving over is, I see it's hard. I see something is going on. It could be you're angry about something. It could be you're mad. It could be many things. And that's okay. As an adult, I'm not, I don't get scared of it. And I'm here when you're ready. I'm here when you're ready. And patient and persistent, meaning you're going to come back tomorrow, spend a few minutes again with your journal, with a cup of tea or some space, whatever you use. Wherever you do it in a quiet time where you can connect to that inner child, where you can have a conversation, you come back the next day and you say hi. And it's not ready to talk. And that's okay. You sit there, you can write down your thoughts, you can tell it, I love you, and when you're ready, I'm here. So that's the patient and persistence. And another word is spending time with yourself, which many people for that is a new concept. They're always busy, running, being busy what's going on in the world, work, family, and sounds great, but you never have time for yourself. So you're starting to practice some, a few minutes of alone time, some self-care, and you're going to continue doing it because we all need it. And the same thing when you want to connect with that inner child, we're in it together. The big Menachem and the small Menachem, we're in it together. If you're not ready to talk, that's okay. But I'm not leaving. This is where I am. I'm spending time with you, and I understand there's something going on. And when you're ready, that's okay. And you just continue breathing, relax. Sometimes emotions come up. We discussed many times, what happens when you sit down for a few minutes and you just try to relax, focus on your breath. What happens many times? Well, I got to get out of here. It's too hard. It's too hard to spend a few minutes with myself. I have a secret to tell you. It's trying to tell you something. It's saying something. You might feel it in your body, an emotion, but you're going to ask yourself, wow, what do I feel? Just feel. And after a few minutes, you can say, are you trying to say something? What is it that you're trying to say? And listen. You might hear something, you might hear nothing, but just be there. And today we're going to continue with a few examples, but I do want to thank all of you for sending feedback. And I realize, we're doing the inner child work for a few weeks now. For some people, it's easier. For others, it could be very hard. And that's okay. It could be very hard when you come to a place where, first, if you have a hard time connecting, you don't know what to do. So that could be hard. But even when you start connecting and negative thoughts come up, heavy emotions, you don't want to go there. So tonight we're going to talk about a little bit the idea of you don't have to do it all at once. Don't open the can of worms, you know, in one night. You can do it slowly, a little bit at a time, slow, again, and persistent. It's every day, a few minutes, but you don't have to get to, there's nowhere to go. You can slow down, take a deep breath, relax. And just by sitting there and breathing, that itself, you're connecting already. It might be quiet, but you're connecting. And that's okay. So thank you for the feedback. And yes, if it's hard, continue breathing a little bit at a time. Some people it's hard to start. Many times, I don't know about you, if you started, if you actually sat down with a pen and paper and, did do the process, whether it's guided to sit with your inner child, come up with a conversation, or you never did it because it's too scary. And that's okay. Realizing that it's too hard. I don't want to go there. And that's part of the process, and that's really the beginning. And it's a big piece. Just knowing that it's too hard for me to have a conversation with myself, to really get into those things that bother me. That's the big step. So we're not running anywhere, slowing down. It's okay. Take it easy and a little bit at a time with compassion. And compassion is a big piece over here. The adult has to be ready to have compassion. Not always easy. Okay, so we'll talk about it a little bit, but before we start, let's do it. Let's spend some time with ourselves. Take a deep breath and just be aware of what comes up. Try to relax. Take another deep breath. Both feet on the floor. Or if you're laying in bed, just feel where you are and what you're feeling. Deep breath in and out. Beautiful. And just be aware of what your day look like, where you're coming from, how you feel. And then we go inwards just to see what does my body feel. You close your eyes and you do a body scan, a quick body scan from head to toe. And if you become aware there's something tingling, stress, a pit in your stomach or whatever, we're not here to change it. It's just becoming aware of what your body feels, and that's okay. And this is a practice good to do once every hour, just for a minute. You sit down, close your eyes, take a deep breath, and say, where am I? What am I feeling? That's it. No need to change anything. You might want to change a lot of things, but that's a different discussion. But first, just the awareness. No need to change. Just be aware of where you are, what you feel. And just disconnect for a minute. And now we're disconnecting for a few minutes. Disconnect from the world. I deserve to take some time off for myself. Yes, I deserve. I didn't do anything today. There was so much I need to do. My list is not done. It's okay. It's okay. Become aware of those thoughts. Beautiful. Okay, so we're going to discuss one or two examples of when you do connect with your inner child. Sometimes emotions come up And let's talk about them. So, one feeling, one emotion can be just having fear of rejection. Okay? Just having that fear. And what does your life look like? Somebody who has fear of rejection for whatever reason, whatever came up for them when they were younger, they felt rejected. And now they'll do anything not to feel that feeling. I'm not ready to feel that feeling. So many people won't stop. And that's the reason why they won't stop. Because the second you stop, that feeling comes up. So let me continue being busy. Because the second I stop, I feel rejected. So first, what what people out there could be doing, and if I have a list of things, if something comes up for you, you can put it in the chat just to let me know if it resonates. So for example, overworking, workaholic. They love the job. They're always working. It's amazing. Life is amazing, and they're busy with their work. But if somebody tells them to stop for a few minutes, I lost them. I lost him. What happened? No, no, no. I have to. I have to. This is what I should do. I have to continue. I have to continue. So that's one thing that you're not going to let yourself stop. Being on social media, being attached to unhealthy relationships, just because who knows if I won't have that relationship, I'll be rejected. So I'll do, I'll have even those relationships that are not working for me, I'll just continue. I'm not ready to feel rejected again. And thank you for all of those for being honest. All of these things, some of these things resonate. Perfectionism is something that comes up. The question is, how does perfectionism look? Sometimes we have to do it till the end, and sometimes we don't do it at all. The black and white thinking. It's either I do it perfect or I don't do it at all, but we never start. People pleasing, anxiety, and depression could be many times because you're never in that state of it's okay, I'm okay. Excessive hobbies and activities. Hobbies and activities are great, but if it's excessive, it's taking you over. You're spending too many hours shopping, spending money. And for those who don't want to seek out help, I can do it on my own because they have that fear of if I look out for help and I don't get it. Oh, that's heavy. And it's not easy. It hurts. If I ask for help and they say no, what if they say no? And can we stop for a minute and realize how hard that is? It's not easy. I might as well do it all by myself, figure it out on myself, push through because I'm not ready to feel that rejection. Okay, so now let's imagine for a minute. You sit down, let's say it's perfectionism. Let's say it's overworking. And you want to take some time to, just to relax and you realize you can't. Okay, so you're going to start doing a little practice, a few minutes, pen and paper, and connect with your inner child and say, hello, 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 what's going on? You write down, hi, how are you? And sometimes it's quiet, it doesn't want to talk to you. What are you going to tell me to do? I'm not ready for that. Because you don't understand me. I'm not ready for that. And, when you sit there, you write down what you're thinking, just write it down. I don't want to tell you, write that down. I'm not ready to listen to what you're going to tell me, write it down. All of this is what the inner child is telling you already. And after a while, doesn't have to be the same sitting, it's going to come up with that core feeling of nobody likes me. I feel so alone. I just feel rejected. If I stop doing what I'm doing, if I don't perform the way I do, and if I don't do what everybody says I'm so good at, and if I don't continue, and if I don't do all of this, whatever comes up for you, whatever you need to do to stop yourself from feeling that feeling. So I'm just gonna have to continue doing that because the second you stop, that thought comes up. Nobody likes me, and I feel so alone. So now let's imagine your inner child tells you that. That's very painful for many reasons. First of all, you don't want to hear it from your child. You don't want to hear it from yourself. You don't want to hear it from your inner child. And it's even worse when you actually feel that way deep down. If you adult feel the same way and you're like, oh my, you know something? I'm with you. You know, if you can get to that place to say I'm with you, without that's, it's another step. But the first reaction is I don't want to hear that from my inner child. I don't want to hear that nobody likes me and I feel so alone, that feeling that I really have. Because there's a big fear. What am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? How when it does come up and the inner child does share that, what am I supposed to do? So what's the answer? First become aware of why it's so hard to connect. Just be aware of why it's so hard, we feel worthless, we feel always alone, nobody likes me. And again, coming from a place where it could be you experienced it when you were younger and you made a decision, you know what? I'm good at music, I'm good at baking, I'm good at this, I'm good at working, I'm good at that. I'm just going to continue be good and I'll be very good at it so that that feeling never comes up again. But then we can't stop and relax because there's a feeling inside of us that's controlling us. But just realize, become aware of why it's so hard to stop. Other people don't have any goals in their life. It's good. I'm okay. I do what I need to do, the things that come up at work, I get it done. And things have to, I'm there. Every day I wake up, I do what I have to do. Can we stop for a moment? What's the plan? What are you working on? Where do you want to be in a year or two? I don't know. It's very hard to have a goal because what happens if I don't get there? Another form of rejection. Some people have fear of change. I live here, I'm comfortable, I know what to do, this is what I do every day. The second I walk out of that comfort zone, it is so scary. If it doesn't work, what are people gonna say? I'm too comfortable. I don't know, forget about people. I am too comfortable to be in a space, in that place of not knowing. So hard for me. Beautiful. Beautiful. Just take a deep breath. Some people need to be in control. I need to have a car. When I want to go, I feel to go. You want to go away on vacation to fly? I can't do that because then have to wait for the flight. Might be canceled. I'll just drive. I can go when I want to go. Stop, and I'm in control. And where does it come up in your life that you feel you have control? Some areas you feel okay. I'm in control. I know I'm safe. And if somebody comes and does something in there, any change, oh, you start feeling it. That feeling. And again, it's important to have a schedule. It's important to have structure, and it's okay. However, when it doesn't work out, or there's any small change, that's when you really can sit down and connect with that inner child and say, let's spend the moment together. What's going on? What's going on? What's coming up for you? And then when it brings something up and it says, I feel rejected, I feel nobody likes me, I feel all alone, and I have to have that control, I have to continue. If that comes up, take a deep breath. You might not want to hear it because it's true. It is painful. You don't like it. You adult doesn't like it. So when your inner child brings it up, why should you want to hear it? So it's very hard to connect to that inner child and say, I'm with you. It's hard to say that if it's something that brings up triggers for yourself, you start feeling the heat in your body. So become aware, just become aware of why it's so hard for you to connect with inner child. And another indication that your inner child is talking is when emotions come up. And when it's positive, it can do the same thing. If you're excited, you have a simcha, you're looking forward for something, you accomplish something, sit down for a moment and talk to that inner child. Say, how are you? How are you feeling? What's going on? Do you feel good? And listen to what it says. It might say, I only feel good now because I accomplished. But until this doesn't happen, I feel like a nothing. Listen to that. Write it down. Don't answer anything. Listen to it. And thank you everyone for sharing in the chat. I do want to welcome the newcomers. For many, it's the first time they're hearing about the inner child concept, and it does sound a little funny. Yeah, yeah. But I'll tell you secrets. We do it all day because we have a conversation in our mind all day. Should I do this? Should I do that? Where am I going? Should I go there now? Did they show up? What do they want? You're having the conversations. So we're becoming aware of the conversations. Connecting to our inner child takes it a little bit deeper. And it's hard. Yeah, it is hard. So again, what's in your life? Okay, be aware of what's that one thing, one place, or where you don't feel comfortable, you're not happy about, or positive, and sit down for a few minutes and connect. Another example is people are anxious about the future. Anxious about the future. And the child could say, if you spend a few minutes with that child, sit down and say, what are you worried about? And see what it says. What do you mean, what I'm worried about? What if this happens? What if that happens? What if? Just listen, just listen. There's a lot of what ifs. Our mind, wow. Just becoming aware of all of the what ifs. And don't be a therapist now. Don't be an adult either. And like a parent saying, it's okay, it's not going to happen. Don't do that. Just be like a good friend and listen. Just listen. What if what? Tell me. What if what? Hmm. Wow. And again, realize why it's so hard because yes, me, the adult is scared of that. So when it's going to come up with an idea, I'm so scared if this happens, if that happens, you're right. You are 100% right. And I don't like it either. And you're just triggering myself. I'm triggering myself by sitting down, talking to my inner child. I'm bringing up the things that I don't like. And that's why it takes practice and just slowly, a little bit every day, just become aware. We start have feelings of overwhelmed. You become overwhelmed when that inner child shares those stuff. So what am I supposed to do? Exactly. Number one is just listen. Be aware that it's hard. Write it down. Journal. I'm so anxious. I'm so overwhelmed. I don't like this. Write down. I don't like this. I want to push away my inner child. I don't want to connect now. Take a deep breath and see if you can sit with that. Because that's the reason why we haven't connected till now for so many years. Because it's so hard. And now we want to tell the inner child, I'm here for you. Even if it's hard for me, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. And you just breathe in and out. Okay, so that's acknowledge, just acknowledge. And then you validate. like you're scared that something might happen. I hear you. After that, you can maybe come up with some ideas of how you can spend some time together, some soothing ideas, right? Just calming ideas. What could we do? Maybe we could, go slowly. Let's not go there, but we'll go somewhere else. I hear you. Let's see. Is it real, the fear, or it's not? But don't go there right away. Because then you're being the teacher, the therapist. You're telling the child it's not okay to feel what they feel. The first step is to validate and to sit with it and listen to it. And for those who are sharing that it's too hard, I am with you. I say the same thing. It's too hard. So I would say start with 30 seconds a day. That's it. Not too long. It's too hard. Start with positives. And what's important is to start with some soothing techniques, which is so important. What do you use for self-care? What do you do? You can't start going to the negative, sitting with the uncomfortable place if you don't have that safe place, if you don't have those few minutes for yourself, there's a few things that you do for self-care for yourself that you deserve. If you don't have that, then don't start over here. What do you do for self-care? And you should know. You can let me know in the chat what you do, but it's the important part is that you know what you do. And I know there are many out there that know already what they do and it works for them. It could be as little as a self-hug. It could be deep breathing for a few minutes every day. Sit down in a quiet place with a hot tea, reading, journaling. Wow. Yeah, soothing techniques. Just give yourself a hug. It might sound funny. If you're a beginner, yes, it will be funny. But I want to welcome you. Don't give up. Come back next week. We have a lot of recordings. But just to start taking care of yourself. Hmm. That thought that I don't deserve it. Just listen to it. Just listen to it. Write it down. That's that inner child saying, I don't deserve. And it's so heavy. That is so heavy. If you really deep down feel you don't deserve, you're not going to be able to do this work because you're sitting with that heavy, your life is controlled by that. So let's take a moment. Let's just reflect on what we discussed tonight. Where's that one place in your life where you feel you need a change? It's a little bit too hard. Something is not working out. You feel comfortable, you can share, but you don't have to. You write it down. Just take a moment. Doesn't have to be something big. Start with something small. And then you ask yourself, what's bothering you about that? What's going on? Let it talk, let it say. Why it doesn't like it. Just listen, write it down. If it's easy for you when it's not called inner child, then you don't have to call it inner child. Whatever conversation comes up, just write it down. So you ask yourself, what's going on? And write it down. If you have no answer, that's okay. But if you're aware of a situation that you don't like, what does it feel like? Maybe out of control. Maybe you feel like people are using you, abused. You can't say no. I need to be perfect because if not, dot, dot, dot. Exactly. Whatever comes up for you. Nobody likes me. I feel so lonely. I am only okay if I am perfect. Thank you for sharing that. And that's being pretty vulnerable. Okay, that it's only me that sees it. But just think about it for a minute. If you're only okay, if you're perfect, You know how heavy that is? How often can we be perfect? And I don't want to exactly. Oh, you told me the answer. It's not possible to be perfect. So what does that mean? Wow. And this is something that I have to work on myself. So I just want to stop here for a minute and let the feelings come up. And I feel it in myself. Just closing my eyes. If I only feel okay when things work out the way I want, or if I'm perfect. And it's almost impossible because we're in this world where there's no perfection. There's always better, there's always bigger, there's always more. So that means I'm always walking around with that feeling of worthlessness. Who am I? What am I? Worthless? Take a deep breath and just feel what comes up when you feel that. Yeah, I am a nobody. Wow. So if you can sit with that for a minute or two, that's huge. And eventually, you need to go to the positive place first, build yourself up first. Because if you're going to do some inner work in a child, you know what's going to come up. You're not going to be able to sit with it. So, what could you do now? Something small for yourself. And everybody could think about what's that something small that I can do, something positive that I can do, or tell myself about myself that I would appreciate. Take a moment to think, what could I tell myself? What could I do for myself? And it doesn't have to be for the inner child, it could be for the adult. What can I do that makes me feel a little bit better? What's something that you can do that make you feel a little bit better about yourself? Very good. Some of you have great answers, others are still stuck, and that's okay. And that's okay. Yes, comparison. There is no one else in the world. It's only you and Hashem. But that's a different discussion. We compare, everybody has so much more, everybody's better than me. And whatever I'll do, I feel like worthless, like a nothing. So I am here to tell you and give you permission to start with small positives. It might be hard, but you deserve it and it's time. Yeah, I don't want to end on a negative over here. We want to end on a positive. We all have positives, and if you can't find it, go to a friend, make a phone call, and say, "Hello, do you have a minute for me? I need your help." And that's vulnerable. But tell me something positive about myself. They will have a lot. And I'll share about myself. When I started the journey many years ago, this was in a workshop. We sat together with other people. So first you had to write your positives on a list. I couldn't come up with any. And then we had the other person, now change the paper. Give him yours, you take his, and you write about him. And that guy wrote 10 things about me or more. And then he gives it back to me. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. You're just trying to make me feel good. Thank you. That's so nice of you. You're such a good friend. But that's such a huge awareness. I couldn't take it in. Can't take in that little bit of a positive. The reason is because if he says I'm a good listener, am I 100% a good listener? No, only 50%, maybe only 40%, maybe only 60%. So I'm not a good listener. Wait a second. Could you take in the little bit that you have? That 20%? Yeah, even if it's 20%. We all have positive. Start making that list. Start spending some time with the positive sides. And eventually you will, yeah, I don't have to say you will sit with their inner child because you're sitting with the negative all day. For those people who have a hard time finding positive, you're in touch with your inner child. You hear it all day because you're sitting with the negative and you hear it complain all day. And that is the inner child. But don't go there yet. First, slowly start with positives. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank yourself for taking some time off. Anybody wants to reach out, any questions, coachmenachem@gmail.com. Let me know where you are on the journey. And I appreciate all the feedback, whether it's positive or negative. It's okay. We're all in it together and we all have ups and downs. So, it's yes, being vulnerable. There are the recordings from the past 134 sessions of the 134 Wednesday nights, which we've done a lot of work together. So for those, it's not a new concept in a child. But if it is the first time, it is hard. Can't go there right away. So listen to some recordings, start from beginning, understanding what's going on, taking a few minutes off, a few minutes for deep breathing, and eventually you'll get there. Thank you very much. And thank everyone for joining. Thank yourself for taking some time off, the time that you deserve, more than once a week. Thank you. Thank you.